Before this video starts, if you enjoy this video, there are many more like it already on the channel, with many more like it to come in the future, so subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I would really appreciate it. I upload 6 days a week on this channel, so if you're looking for some consistent basketball talk, this is the place for it. Also, drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second, and it makes a massive difference. Today, I am talking about the future of the Orlando Magic, and luckily, I recorded this video now and not when I was planning on recording it, which was last Sunday, because there is a new update, obviously, and that is that Jonathan Isaac got a severe injury once more, tearing his ACL, which means he's probably not going to be playing again for quite a while. Now, this is obviously a huge development because pretty much the whole thing that I was going to be saying in this video was that the Orlando Magic need to fully commit to Jonathan Isaac and Mo Bamba, but now that Jonathan Isaac is at least not going to be playing for most, or at least half of the next season, because bear in mind, the next season starts in like November or December, something like that. So this isn't like he's going to get a full off season's worth of recovery before the game starts. Like, he's going to get a couple of months and then the game starts. So it's not going to be the typical timeline you get when someone gets a season-ending injury at this time of the season with like 4 more games left in the regular season. Like, if this was the case, he'd probably miss 15 games next season. Now he's going to be missing at least 30. So that adds an interesting monkey wrench into this entire thing, because what the fuck do the Magic do? Because what I was going to say in this video was I believe they should trade Nikola Vucevic, and they should start, and as well as Aaron Gordon, and they should start Jonathan Isaac at power forward, Mo Bamba at center, and really put a focus on those two as their defensive backcourt of the future. Or front court, I believe it is. I always flip those two around in my head. The big men positions. So those two I was anticipating really being the foundation of this team for the following season. But now, of course, Jonathan Isaac is not going to be playing most of next season, and trading Aaron Gordon would be kind of short-sighted unless they want to take the approach that I honestly might consider in their position, which is Jonathan Isaac's out. We're not really going to be much next year without him, and we weren't really going to be much with him anyways, but why not trade our veteran pieces, be bad this year for this incredibly stacked 2021 draft class, find ourselves an offensive perimeter player that this team has been needing for a long time, and then Isaac comes back next year. We have Bamba with another year of development behind him, with him being a lot bigger than he used to be. And then we also have some other offensive options that we signed in free agency on top of what they currently have with like Terrence Ross and Evan Fournier. Markelle Fultz maybe develops and actually is at least a semi-respectable three-point shooter. And I think you could have a pretty damn good team on your hands with Isaac and Bamba being the defensive duo that makes them one of the top defenses in the league. And then the other guys that you draft/sign make you at least a respectable offensive team. I honestly might go that direction, but also Orlando has seemed pretty content the last couple of years just keeping their head above water, which is respectable. I can tell you I used to shit on that, but now as a Bulls fan who's watched my team be bad for like 3 seasons now, that's already enough to make me lose my mind. So wanting to keep your head above water is completely understandable just from a perspective of a fan, because it's really hard to watch your team be really bad. But honestly, I think the right direction would be to use this injury from Isaac as a way to basically justify being like, all right, let's take an evaluation here. This team's not going to be that good. Let's take a year of development for some of our younger guys like Mo Bamba. I think there's Wesley Iwundu, however you say his name. He has some potential from what I've heard from Magic fans. Markelle Fultz is still not that old and has plenty of time to become at least a pretty good NBA player. So this could be an opportunity to develop some of those younger dudes, draft someone this year with your like 15th or 16th pick, probably 16th, and just go from there. I definitely don't believe that this team should try to be competitive without Isaac, because it's just really a repeat of what they've been doing the last 2 seasons now, and it's not really going anywhere. Like Aaron Gordon, I honestly believe that he's hit his ceiling at least with the Magic as they're constructed at the moment. I think in the right system, he could be a lot better than he is in Orlando. Basically, in Orlando, he has been forced to be a shot creator, which is not his role at all. Really, what he should be is a small ball center, basically playing like Draymond Green, being a playmaker, defensive player, big enough to defend centers most of the time, but versatile enough to defend the perimeter, being able to make plays off of the pick and roll, being an athlete, and at least being okay, being respectable at spot-up three-point shots, which Draymond Green isn't actually, but you get my point. And he's actually bigger than Green, so I think he could be that kind of impact dude on a team that allows him to play his game rather than forces him in the role of being like, hey, do a couple jab steps and take a mid-range pull-up in your defender's face. Like, that's not something that Aaron Gordon should ever be doing, but because the Orlando Magic are not a good offensive team, he is kind of forced into possessions like that where he has to be that guy, and he shouldn't be. So outside of that, what moves can they make? Well, as I said, I do want them to trade Vucevic and Gordon. So one team that I've said would be a good spot to trade Gordon would be the Rockets for, ironically, another Gordon and Eric Gordon. However, upon further looking at it, the small ball of Houston, how they're doing it right now, I think that's a good move, so I wouldn't want to disrupt that. Gordon would obviously be a small ball center, however, he's not nearly the three-point shooter that PJ Tucker is, especially out of the corner, so that would hurt the spacing of that whole thing that they're going for. And then outside of that, I'm not really sure what teams would be interested in trading for him, because to me he needs to be a small ball center, and not a lot of teams are fully committed to doing that. There's a lot of teams that are happy to do that for like 15-minute stretches of games, but not throughout the entire game. Like, I've seen rumors of him going to Oklahoma City for guys like Danilo Gallinari and potentially a sign-and trade. Really, I would focus on getting some younger guys rather than veterans if I'm the Magic, so I don't know that I would do that. But I definitely think you could get a first-round pick out of Aaron Gordon as well as a matching salary, which is not bad at all. That's definitely a pretty good return for him. Like, he's a pretty good NBA player, but it's not like you should be expecting a heavy haul from him. Now, as for Nikola Vucevic, he might be even more difficult to trade. Now, you could take the perspective of, we'll just keep Vucevic as like a sixth man, but even then, not really, because if we're starting Mo Bamba and Mo Bamba really comes into his own, that's not really a lot of backup center opportunity in the NBA anymore. Like, I've made this point before, where if you're a good backup center in the NBA, but you have a good starting center on your team, it kind of sucks, because if that guy is getting like 36 minutes a game, there's not a lot of minutes for you, because teams can no longer really roll out two centers at a time unless one of those centers is a very good three-point shooter, and that's not all that common, so it results in a center like, let's say, Mason Plumlee, who's a very good backup center, playing like 16 minutes a game, and that's just an unfortunate circumstance of being in that position. So I don't think Vucevic would like that, especially being that he was an all-star like a year ago, so that's probably not going to go down. And then outside of that, I mean, I guess if you want to play this more conservatively, you could just reduce Vucevic's minutes and increase Bamba's, make Bamba the starter, but each of them are still playing like 20-something minutes a game. I am fully like on the side of going all in on Bamba, but if you want to play a little bit safer, that's certainly an option. What I will say in general is this team does need to move on from Vucevic, because as of right now, he's just not getting you anywhere, really. Like, he's a pretty good offensive player, but if he's the best scorer on your team, you're not going anywhere. Like, that's essentially how it is. So I would trade him. Now, as I said, he's not going to be an easy guy to trade, because I mean, his contract's not bad, but he's not really a player that a lot of teams are looking for, like a post-scoring center that is all right at shooting three-pointers. Like, how many teams are looking for that? Like, maybe a few teams that are just trying to, you know, be respectable would trade for Vucevic. Like, Vucevic is the key, like, I just want to be a respectable NBA team guy to trade for. I'm not really sure who fits into that category. Maybe the Detroit Pistons don't want to rebuild, and they're just like, let's just trade for Vucevic and we'll be okay. Would not advise that whatsoever, but that is a type of move that I could see them doing. Maybe if the Spurs once again decide to try and keep their head above water, they would trade for him and move LaMarcus Aldridge back to power forward. Wouldn't do that either, but not every move that I would do is what a team would do, so it's definitely theoretically possible. But outside of that, like I said, I just think they need to commit to these two, and unfortunately, Isaac having an ACL tear really puts this into a tough spot, but I would say look at this as an opportunity to go for that tank job. The 2021 draft class has been hyped up to be one of the best ones ever and in a long time. So and also a very deep draft class at that. So if you can get a lottery pick and even a high lottery pick in that draft, and you just make the right selection, which granted you can't really always trust the Magic to do that, if they can do that, then you get a really good offensive guard / forward next to Isaac and Mo Bamba. And I think you have a pretty good young core on your hands that can eventually be a very good team. So yeah, that's what I would do. So trade away your vets and Vucevic, trade Aaron Gordon for whatever you can get for him. Try and tank next season. Get a high lottery pick. Draft someone who can be your scoring player of the future and build around him, Isaac and Bamba. That is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.